Natalie's hands shook as she stared at her place card. Table 47. She walked through the ballroom, past Crystal, past Silk, past her sister's friends, who turned away like she carried disease. There in the corner, a folding table behind a potted palm. One chair, one plate. Her sister's wedding, and they'd hidden her like garbage. She was pulling out her phone to leave when a man's voice stopped her cold. "Don't. Please don't go. Act like you're with me." Before we continue, hit that subscribe button. This story will break your heart and put it back together. Drop a comment with your city so I can see how far this reaches. Now let's get into it. Pack light. You won't be staying long. Margaret Whitfield stood in Natalie's doorway 3 hours before the wedding, arms crossed, mouth pursed, like she'd tasted something rotten. She didn't knock. Never had. This was her house, she reminded Natalie constantly, and Natalie was just living in it. Natalie kept buttoning her dress, the pale blue one she'd saved 3 months to buy. Her fingers worked the buttons one-handed, left hand gone right hand, compensating the way she'd done everything for 10 years. She didn't look up. Looking up meant seeing Margaret's face, and that face never held anything good. "Caroline invited me," Natalie said. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. "Caroline invited you because I made her." Margaret stepped into the room. "Do you know what people will say if the bride's sister doesn't attend? But don't think for 1 second that invitation means you matter." Natalie's throat closed. She forced the last button through its hole. "Look at me when I'm talking to you." Natalie looked up. Margaret was 53, perfectly preserved through expensive creams and strategic Botox, wearing a champagne-colored gown that cost more than Natalie made in 6 months at the grocery store. Everything about Margaret was hard. Hard eyes, hard mouth, hard heart. "This wedding cost $300,000, Margaret said. $300,000. The Rosewood Estate, 200 guests. Caroline's dress alone was $15,000. Do you understand what that means? It means Caroline's getting married. It means perfection. It means every detail matters, every photograph, every moment." Margaret's voice dropped. "And then there's you." The words hung in the air like smoke. Natalie said nothing. What could she say? She'd heard variations of this speech for a decade. "You're the flaw in our family portrait. You're the mistake we can't undo. You're the good deed that turned into a burden. Richard wanted to uninvite you," Margaret continued. "But I said no. I said we'd look like monsters. So you're coming. You'll sit where we put you. You'll smile for photos if asked. You'll leave early. And you will not do, you hear me, you will not make this day about you and your—" She waved at Natalie's empty sleeve. "Situation." Natalie's right hand clenched. "I lost my arm, Margaret, not my humanity." "Don't be dramatic." Margaret turned toward the door. "The car leaves in 20 minutes. Be ready. And Natalie, try not to cry during the ceremony. Your face gets splotchy, and it shows up in photos." The door clicked shut. Natalie sat on her bed and counted. 1, 2, 3. Her therapist, the one the Whitfields paid for exactly 6 sessions before deciding therapy was indulgent, had taught her this. Count when you want to scream. Count when you want to break something. Count when you want to disappear. She made it to 73 before her breathing steadied. 23 years old. 10 years in this house. 10 years since the accident that killed her parents and took her arm and changed everything. The Whitfields had been friends of her father's business partner. They'd shown up at the hospital with cameras and journalists talking about giving this angel a second chance, while photographers captured their tears. For 3 months they'd paraded her around, news interviews, charity events, magazine spreads about their generosity. Natalie in her hospital bed, Natalie learning to dress herself, Natalie being grateful. Then the attention faded. The cameras left. And the Whitfields' kindness evaporated like morning dew. By month 4, Margaret was complaining about the cost of Natalie's medical bills. By month 6, she was sleeping in the smallest bedroom, the one that used to be storage. By year 2, Caroline was telling kids at school that Natalie wasn't really her sister, just some charity case her parents took in. Now here she was, still in this house, still trying to be small enough, quiet enough, invisible enough that they'd forget she existed. She finished getting ready alone. Foundation to cover the dark circles under her eyes. Mascara, but not too much. Margaret said girls like her shouldn't draw attention. Lipstick in pale pink. Hair brushed until it shined, falling in dark waves past her shoulders. She clipped her empty sleeve, carefully pinning the fabric so it looked intentional instead of tragic. She'd learned that trick from a YouTube video. Hundreds of one-armed people online living full lives, refusing to hide. Natalie watched their videos late at night when the house was quiet, and she could pretend she was brave like them. In the mirror, she looked almost acceptable. Almost like someone who belonged at a wedding. Almost. The ride to the venue was silent. Margaret and Richard took the Mercedes with Caroline and her bridesmaids. Natalie took an Uber, arriving 15 minutes after everyone else. The driver tried to make conversation. "Beautiful day for a wedding." "You look lovely." But Natalie couldn't find words. Her stomach was twisted in knots, her palms sweating. The Rosewood estate rose before her like a palace. Stone columns, marble steps, windows that sparkled in the afternoon sun. Valets in white gloves opened doors for guests in designer clothes. A woman in a fur stole swept past, trailing perfume and laughter. Nobody opened the door for Natalie. She climbed the steps alone, clutching her small purse with her right hand. The entrance hall was chaos. Silk dresses in jewel tones, tuxedos that probably cost more than her car, champagne flutes on silver trays. Everywhere people were hugging, laughing, taking selfies in front of a flower wall constructed entirely from white roses. Natalie stood near the door and tried to disappear. She was good at that. 10 years of practice. A waiter passed by with champagne. She reached for a glass. He looked at her. Really looked, his eyes dropping to her empty sleeve, and his smile faltered. He turned away like he hadn't seen her. Natalie's face burned. She dropped her hand. "Natalie?" A voice cut through the noise. Caroline appeared in her wedding dress, a confection of lace and beading that made her look like a princess from a fairy tale. Her bridesmaids flanked her like bodyguards, all 6 of them blonde and tall and perfect. "Hi," Natalie said. "You look beautiful." "I know." Caroline glanced at her bridesmaids, and they giggled. "Listen about the seating, Mom wanted me to explain. We had to make some adjustments because Matthew's family is larger than we thought, and we needed to prioritize immediate family and close friends, so..." "Where am I sitting?" "Table 47. It's in the back, but it's still a great seat. You can see everything." Natalie nodded. What else could she do? "Great. Okay. I need to go finish getting ready. The ceremony starts in 30 minutes. Caroline leaned in, her voice dropping. "And Natalie, please don't do anything weird. Don't cry loudly or draw attention or, just be normal." "I'll try," Natalie whispered. Caroline swept away her bridesmaids, trailing behind her like a comet's tail. Natalie heard one of them say, "God, imagine having to invite her to your wedding." And the others laughed. Natalie found the seating chart near the entrance, a massive gold frame calligraphy in elegant black script. Table 1. The Whitfield family and the groom's parents. Table 2. Grandparents and close relatives. Tables 3 through 15 friends. Tables 16 through 30 business associates. Tables 31 through 46 extended family and plus ones. Table 47, Natalie Whitfield. Just her name. No plus one, no explanation. A coordinator appeared at her elbow, young blonde clipboard in hand. "Can I help you find your seat? Table 47. The coordinator's smile dimmed slightly. "Oh, right. Follow me." They walked through the ballroom, and Natalie felt every eye on her. Whispers followed in her wake, like ripples in water. She kept her gaze down, focusing on the coordinator's heels clicking against marble. The ballroom was stunning. Chandeliers dripping with crystals. Flowers everywhere. Roses, peonies, orchids arrangements that must have cost thousands each. Round tables draped in cream and gold place settings that looked like art. A string quartet playing something classical and beautiful. They passed all of it. Past the sweetheart table decorated with candles and roses. Past the elegant tables with their silk napkins and crystal glasses. Past the tables where people were already sitting, chatting, laughing, comfortable. All the way to the back corner. Behind a massive potted palm tree half hidden in shadow, sat a folding table. The cheap kind with metal legs and a wobbly top. Someone had thrown a white tablecloth over it, but you could still see the legs underneath. One chair, one plate. One place setting that looked like an afterthought. Here you go. The coordinator's voice was aggressively cheerful. Enjoy the wedding. She left before Natalie could respond. Natalie stood there, staring at the table. From here, she couldn't see the ceremony arch. Couldn't see most of the room. Just the back of the palm tree and a sliver of the dance floor. They'd hidden her. Actually hidden her like she was something shameful. Her phone buzzed. A text from Margaret. Stay in your seat. Don't wander. Natalie sat down. The chair creaked under her weight. She placed her purse in her lap and folded her hand on the table, trying to look like this was fine. Like sitting alone behind a plant at her sister's wedding was completely normal. Around her, the room filled with noise. Guests finding seats. Greetings called across tables. Laughter. The clink of glasses. The rustle of programs. Everyone was part of something connected to someone. Everyone except her. The ceremony began. Natalie heard it more than saw it, the music swelling, the officiant's voice echoing through expensive sound systems. Caroline's laugh when the groom lifted her veil. The collective awe from 200 guests when they kissed. Natalie sat behind her palm tree and felt nothing. Not sadness, not anger, just a vast gray emptiness that had become familiar over the years. This was her life. This had always been her life. Even before the Whitfields, even with her real parents, sweet as they were, she'd always felt slightly out of step, slightly wrong, like everyone else got an instruction manual for life, and hers got lost in the mail. Then the accident happened, and that wrongness became visible. Became impossible to hide. The ceremony ended. Applause erupted. Caroline and her new husband swept down the aisle to thunderous cheers. Cocktail hour began. Waiters circulated with appetizers on silver trays, bacon-wrapped scallops, mini crab cakes, bruschetta, things that smelled incredible. None of them came near table 47. Natalie watched them pass. Watched them stop at every other table, smiling, offering food. But when they got close to her corner, they'd veer away like the palm tree created some kind of invisible barrier. She was invisible. Worse than invisible, she was deliberately excluded. Her phone buzzed again. A Facebook notification. Someone had tagged her in a photo. She opened it. A group shot from when she first moved in with the Whitfields, all of them smiling, Natalie's arm still bandaged. The caption, 10 years ago, we opened our hearts to this brave girl. So proud of how far she's come. Blessed, #family, #adoption. 300 likes already. Comments pouring in. You're such good people. This is what real love looks like. That poor girl is so lucky to have you. Natalie closed the app. Her hand shook. She was pulling out her phone to call an Uber when she heard footsteps approaching. Heavy steps. Deliberate. Excuse me. Natalie looked up. A man stood beside her table. Tall, maybe 6'1" or 6'2". Late 30s, dark hair going silver at the temples. Wearing a simple black suit. No flashy accessories, no designer labels. His face was kind but tired, like he'd seen too much and was still choosing to be gentle anyway. His eyes met hers. Actually met them. Didn't slide away to her missing arm, didn't avoid her gaze. Just looked at her like she was a person. "Is this seat taken?" he asked. Natalie blinked. There's only one seat. I noticed. He glanced back toward the main ballroom, jaw tightening. I also noticed you've been sitting alone for 50 minutes, while everyone acts like you don't exist. Natalie's throat closed. I'm fine. No, you're not. He said it gently but firmly. Nobody would be fine. I'm Robert Sinclair, friend of the groom's grandmother Agnes. He paused. And I can't stand by and watch this happen. Watch what? You being treated like you're disposable. Robert pulled a chair from a nearby table, ignoring the coordinator who started to protest and sat down across from Natalie. The folding table wobbled between them. Let me guess. Family of the bride. Adoptive sister. Robert's expression darkened. And they put you back here, behind a plant, at a folding table. It's complicated. It's cruelty. He said it like a simple fact. I've been watching you since the ceremony started, watching everyone pretend not to see you, watching waitstaff avoid this corner like it's radioactive. And I thought... He stopped himself, started again. My wife died 2 years ago, Patricia, cancer. She was 34. Natalie's breath caught. I'm so sorry. Thank you. I have a daughter, Abigail, she's 8. And after Patricia died, half our friends disappeared. Too uncomfortable, too awkward. They sent casseroles and cards, and then vanished because grief made them uneasy. His voice was steady, but his eyes were sad. So, I know what it feels like when people decide you're too difficult. When they'd rather pretend you don't exist than deal with the reality of you. I lost my arm, Natalie said suddenly. The words just came out. Car accident, 10 years ago. My parents died. The Whitfields adopted me. For 3 months, I was their charity project. Then the cameras left and... She stopped. They've been trying to forget about me ever since. Robert was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Here's what I'm thinking. I came to this wedding with Abigail. We're sitting with Agnes at table 5, front row. Good food, good company. Agnes is 83 and doesn't give a damn about social politics. He met her eyes. Come sit with us, please. Act like you're with me. Be part of this celebration instead of hidden away like something shameful. I can't. Margaret will. Margaret can talk to me. Robert's voice was calm but hard. I promise you I can handle Margaret. You don't understand. This will cause problems. Good. It should. Robert stood and offered his right hand. You deserve better than this. Come on. Natalie stared at his hand. Every instinct screamed at her to stay small, stay quiet, don't make waves. That's what 10 years with the Whitfields had taught her. Don't speak up. Don't take space. Don't remind people you're alive. But Robert was still standing there, still waiting. Not with pity, not with obligation, with respect. Natalie took his hand and stood. The walk across that ballroom felt endless. Every conversation stopped. Every head turned. Natalie heard the whispers start like wildfire. That's the Whitfield girl. What's she doing? Who's that man? Is that her boyfriend? Look at her arm. Robert walked beside her, steady and sure, his hand light on her elbow. Not pulling, just there. Table 5 sat near the front, draped in cream and gold, surrounded by the groom's family. An elderly woman with white hair pinned up elegantly looked up as they approached. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent behind wire-rimmed glasses. Robert? Agnes's voice was warm. And who's this? This is Natalie, Caroline's sister. Robert pulled out a chair for her. She was sitting alone in the back, and I thought she deserved better company. Agnes's gaze sharpened. She looked toward the back corner, toward that folding table behind the palm tree. Her mouth tightened. Margaret did that. Adoptive mother, Natalie whispered, sitting down. Her hands were shaking. Doesn't matter. Family is family. Agnes reached over and patted Natalie's hand. Her skin was soft and papery. Anyone who hides family behind a plant doesn't deserve the title. Abigail, dear, say hello to Natalie. A little girl with dark curls and bright eyes popped up from her seat. "Hi, I'm Abigail. Do you like rocks?" "Because I have 17 in my purse, and Dad said I shouldn't bring them. But I did anyway, because what if someone wants to see rocks?" "Do you want to see rocks?" Despite everything, despite the fear and the shame and the 200 pairs of eyes watching her, Natalie laughed. Actually laughed. "I would love to see rocks." "Really?" Abigail's face lit up. "Okay, so this one I found at the beach, and this one is from the parking lot, but it has sparkles. And this one, Dad, where's my purse?" "Under your chair, sweetheart." Abigail dove under the table. Agnes smiled at Natalie. "That child could talk to a wall. You'll fit right in." Robert sat down on Natalie's other side and immediately flagged down a waiter. "Yes, could we get another plate here, and she'll have the salmon." "Actually, Natalie started. "The salmon here is the only thing worth eating," Robert said. "Trust me, the chicken is dry." The waiter nodded and disappeared. Abigail surfaced with a small purse covered in unicorn stickers and began pulling out rocks, explaining each one in elaborate detail. Agnes told a story about her late husband sneaking champagne into a church wedding. Another cousin joined the conversation, asking Natalie about her work. For 15 minutes, Natalie felt normal. For 15 minutes, she was part of something. Then Margaret found them. "Natalie!" The voice cut through the laughter like a blade. "What do you think you're doing?" The table went silent. Natalie looked up to find Margaret standing there, face white with fury. Richard hovering behind her like a ghost. Behind them, 3 of Margaret's friends clustered like vultures sensing blood. "I'm having dinner," Natalie said. Her voice shook. "At the wrong table. Your seat is in the back. Get up." "She's sitting with us," Robert said calmly. He didn't stand, didn't raise his voice, just spoke with quiet authority. "Is there a problem?" Margaret's eyes raked over him. "I don't know who you are." "Robert Sinclair, friend of the family." He gestured to Agnes. "Agnes invited Natalie to join us." "I don't care if God himself invited her." Margaret's voice was low and vicious. "This is my daughter's wedding. She has an assigned seat. She needs to follow the rules." "The rule that says she sits alone behind a plant," Agnes interjected. "That rule, Margaret." Margaret's face flushed red. "This is none of your business." "It's everyone's business when you treat a child like garbage." Agnes's voice was sharp. "She's your daughter." "She's adopted. There's a difference." The words hung in the air. Around them, conversations at nearby tables stopped. People were openly staring now. Natalie wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor. This was her nightmare, being the center of attention, being the problem, being the thing that ruined everything. "There shouldn't be a difference," Robert said. His voice was still calm, but there was steel underneath. "Family is family. And what you've done tonight, hiding her in the back away from everyone that's not family, that's cruelty. How dare you? How dare you?" Robert stood now, and suddenly he seemed taller. "How dare you adopt a child who lost everything and then spend 10 years making her feel like a burden? How dare you bring her to your daughter's wedding and treat her like something shameful?" Margaret's mouth opened and closed. She looked around for support, for someone to back her up. Her friends looked away. Richard studied his shoes. "She's lucky we took her in," Margaret finally said. "Lucky we gave her a home. After the accident." "Don't." Natalie's voice surprised everyone, including herself. She stood up, her legs shaking, but her voice steady. "Don't pretend you did this out of kindness. You did it for the cameras, for the attention. For 3 months you loved being the heroes who saved the poor crippled girl." Margaret flinched at the word crippled. "Then the attention stopped." Natalie continued. "And so did your kindness. You've spent 10 years making me pay rent in your house. 10 years telling me I'm lucky you kept me. 10 years reminding me I don't belong." Her voice cracked. I sat behind that plant for 50 minutes, Margaret. 50 minutes watching everyone else laugh and celebrate while I was hidden away like something diseased, and you know what I'm done. Done. Margaret's voice rose. You're done, you ungrateful. Mom. Caroline appeared still in her wedding dress, her face furious. What is going on? People are staring. Your sister is causing a scene. Of course she is. Caroline turned on Natalie, and suddenly all her bride's sweetness vanished. Do you know how embarrassing this is? Do you know how many people are watching? This is my day, Natalie. My day. And you're making it about you and your... She gestured at Natalie's arm. Your problems. I didn't do anything, Natalie whispered. You're sitting at the wrong table. You're talking back to Mom. You're... Caroline's voice broke with tears, real or fake. Natalie couldn't tell anymore. I knew we shouldn't have invited you. I knew you'd ruin everything. The ballroom was dead silent now. 200 guests watching, phones out recording. This would be on social media within minutes. She hasn't ruined anything, Robert said. You have. Caroline spun on him. Who even are you? Someone who sees what you really are. Robert's voice carried across the ballroom. This young woman lost her parents, lost her arm, lost everything. And instead of loving her, you people have spent a decade punishing her for existing, for needing you, for not being perfect. He looked at Caroline. You want to know what's embarrassing, not her. You. All of you. How dare. Look around, Agnes said, standing up. At 83, she was still formidable. Everyone's watching, everyone's listening, and they all know the truth now. They all know what you've done to this girl. Margaret's face went white, then red. We gave her everything. You gave her nothing, Agnes said. Nothing that mattered. Natalie, dear. She turned to Natalie. You're welcome at this table. You're welcome in this family. The real family. The one that matters. Then something unexpected happened. Someone started clapping. Slow at first. One person, then another, and another. Within seconds, half the ballroom was applauding, standing up staring at the Whitfields with disgust. Caroline burst into tears, real ones this time, and ran out, her dress trailing behind her. Margaret stood frozen, her friends whispering urgently. Richard finally spoke. Margaret, let's go. This isn't over, Margaret hissed at Natalie. You're out, tonight. Pack your things and get out of my house. Then they were gone, swept away on a tide of their own humiliation. Natalie stood there shaking, unable to process what had just happened. The applause died down. Conversations resumed. The string quartet started playing again. Robert touched her elbow gently. Sit down. Breathe. Natalie sat. Her whole body was trembling. Abigail pushed a glass of water into her hand. Drink this. When I'm scared, Dad makes me drink water and it helps. Natalie drank. The water was cold and clean, and it cut through the panic in her chest. You okay? Robert asked quietly. She kicked me out, Natalie whispered. I don't have anywhere to go. Yes, you do, Agnes said firmly. You'll come home with Robert and Abigail tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out the rest. But tonight, you're safe. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm telling. Agnes squeezed her hand. You stood up for yourself. That took courage. Now let us stand with you. Natalie looked around the table. At Agnes, fierce and kind. At Abigail, smiling and offering another rock. At Robert, whose eyes held understanding and something else. Something that made her feel seen for the first time in 10 years. Okay, Natalie whispered. Okay. The rest of the reception passed in a blur. They ate dinner, the salmon was good. They talked and laughed. People stopped by table 5 to introduce themselves, to tell Natalie she was brave to shoot disgusted looks toward the back corner where Margaret sat with her remaining friends. Caroline and her new husband cut the cake and had their first dance. They didn't look at Natalie once. And honestly, for the first time in 10 years, Natalie didn't care. When the reception ended, as guests filtered out into the warm night, Robert walked Natalie to his car. Abigail chattered about the cake and the flowers and her rocks. Agnes hugged Natalie goodbye and promised to call tomorrow. "Thank you," Natalie said to Robert as they stood in the parking lot. "For seeing me. For—" her voice broke. "For caring." Robert smiled, tired but real. Patricia used to say that the world is full of people who look away. She said our job was to be the ones who looked closer, who saw what others missed. He opened the car door. "Come on, let's go home." And for the first time in 10 years, Natalie believed that maybe, just maybe, she was finally going somewhere that felt like home. Robert's house was nothing like the Whitfield mansion. It sat on a quiet street in a neighborhood where kids drew chalk on sidewalks and people knew their neighbors' names. 2 stories, pale yellow paint, a porch with a swing that creaked in the breeze. The lawn needed mowing. A basketball hoop hung crooked over the driveway. Through the front window, Natalie could see warm light and mismatched furniture and walls covered with framed photos. It looked lived in, loved. "It's not much," Robert said, pulling into the driveway. "But it's home." Abigail was already unbuckling her seatbelt. "Can Natalie have the guest room? The one with the window seat. Please." "That's exactly where she's staying," Robert said. They walked inside and Natalie's breath caught. The living room was small but cozy, worn couch coffee table covered with Abigail's drawings, bookshelves overflowing with paperbacks and photo albums. The kitchen beyond had dishes in the sink and a grocery list stuck to the fridge with alphabet magnets. Everything was slightly messy, slightly chaotic. Everything was real. "I'll show you your room." Abigail grabbed Natalie's hand and pulled her toward the stairs. "It's the best room. Well, not as good as my room, but pretty good. And you can see the oak tree from the window, and sometimes there are squirrels." The guest room was small, a double bed with a faded quilt, a dresser with one drawer that stuck, a window seat with cushions that had seen better days. But it was clean and quiet, and when Natalie sat on the bed, it didn't creak like her bed at the Whitfield's house always had. "Do you like it?" Abigail asked anxiously. "We can get you more pillows if you need more pillows. Dad says I use too many pillows, but I think you can never have too many pillows." "It's perfect," Natalie whispered. "Okay, good. I'm going to get ready for bed, but if you need anything, just knock on my door. It's the one with the unicorn poster. Well, there are 2 unicorn posters, but mine is the one with the rainbow unicorn, not the pink unicorn." Abigail paused at the door. "I'm really glad you're here. That wedding was boring until you sat with us." Then she was gone, leaving Natalie alone in the quiet room. Natalie sat on the bed and tried to process the last 6 hours. This morning she'd woken up in the Whitfield mansion. Now she was homeless, sitting in a stranger's guest room, her entire life upended. She should feel terrified, should feel lost. Instead, she felt something she hadn't felt in years, safe. A soft knock on the door. Robert stood in the hallway holding a toothbrush still in its package and a towel. "Bathrooms across the hall. I wasn't sure what you needed, so I grabbed some of Patricia's things from storage. Shampoo, soap, that kind of thing. They're on the counter." "Thank you." Natalie took the toothbrush. "Robert, I can't stay here. I need to figure out—" "Tomorrow," Robert said firmly. "Tonight, you sleep. Tomorrow we make a plan." "Okay." "Okay." He started to leave, then turned back. "What Margaret said tonight about you being lucky, they took you in, that was wrong. They were lucky to have you. And they were too stupid to see it." Before Natalie could respond, he was gone. She got ready for bed, slowly moving through the unfamiliar bathroom like a ghost. Patricia's shampoo smelled like lavender. The towel was soft and worn. When Natalie looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Same face, same missing arm. But something in her eyes looked different. She looked alive. Back in the guest room, she lay in the dark and listened to the house settle around her. Footsteps upstairs. Robert putting Abigail to bed. The creak of floorboards. The distant sound of a door closing. Then silence. Natalie pulled out her phone. 47 missed calls from Margaret. 63 text messages. She scrolled through them without opening any, watching the preview text get progressively angrier. How dare you embarrass us? You're dead to this family. Don't bother coming back. We're changing the locks. The last message sent 20 minutes ago. I've put your things on the front porch. If they're not gone by morning, they're going in the trash. Natalie's hands shook. Everything she owned was sitting outside the Whitfield mansion right now. Her clothes, her books, the box of photos from her real parents, the stuffed rabbit she'd had since she was 5. She was trying to figure out what to do when her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Agnes. Robert gave me your number. I'm sending a truck to collect your belongings from the Whitfield house first thing tomorrow morning. They will be stored safely until you're ready for them. Sleep well, dear. You're not alone anymore. Natalie read the message 3 times. Then she cried big gasping sobs that she muffled in the pillow so she wouldn't wake Abigail. But these weren't sad tears. They were something else. Relief, maybe. Or gratitude. Or the feeling of something broken finally starting to heal. She fell asleep like that, still holding her phone, tears drying on her cheeks. Morning came too early. Natalie woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Abigail singing something off-key downstairs. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then it all came rushing back. The wedding, the confrontation. Margaret's face twisted with fury. She got dressed in yesterday's clothes and went downstairs. The kitchen was small and bright morning sun streaming through yellow curtains. Robert stood at the stove making pancakes. Abigail sat at the table with a coloring book still in her pajamas, singing about butterflies. "Morning," Robert said without turning around. "Coffee's on the counter. Mugs are in the cabinet above. Cream's in the fridge." Natalie poured herself coffee and sat down across from Abigail. "What are you coloring?" "A dragon. But I'm making it purple instead of green because why do dragons always have to be green? That's boring." Abigail looked up. "Do you like pancakes?" "Dad makes good pancakes. Well, they're kind of lumpy, but they taste good." "I like pancakes." Robert brought over a plate stacked high with pancakes, slightly lumpy like Abigail said, but smelling like butter and vanilla. "Eat, then we'll talk." They ate in comfortable silence. Abigail chattering about a book she was reading, Robert reading something on his phone, Natalie just soaking in the normalcy of it all. This was what breakfast should feel like. Easy. Warm. No tension crackling in the air. No criticisms disguised as concern. After Abigail went upstairs to get dressed, Robert refilled their coffee and sat down across from Natalie. "Okay, let's talk about the plan." "I need to find an apartment," Natalie said. "I have some money saved. Not much, but enough for first month's rent and deposit if I find something cheap. And I'll pick up extra shifts at the store." "Or," Robert interrupted, "you could stay here. For a while. Until you figure things out." Natalie's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. "I can't do that." "Why not?" Because I just met you. Because this is your home. Because I can't impose." "You're not imposing. I'm offering." Robert leaned forward. "Look, this house has 3 bedrooms. It's just me and Abigail, and she's gone every other weekend to her grandmother's place. Patricia's mom likes to take her. The guest room just sits empty. You'd actually be doing me a favor." "A favor?" "Abigail's been lonely. She misses having another adult around, and honestly," Robert's voice softened, "so do I. This house gets quiet." Natalie stared at her coffee. "Robert, you don't even know me." "I know you were brave enough to sit at that table last night. I know you stood up to people who've been hurting you for years. I know you've survived things most people couldn't survive." He paused. "That's enough for me." What if I'm difficult? What if..." "Then you're difficult. So what?" Robert smiled. Natalie, you don't have to earn the right to be here. You don't have to be perfect or grateful or easy. You just have to be you. Something in Natalie's chest cracked open. How long? As long as you need. A month? 6 months? A year? Whatever you need to get on your feet. I'll pay rent. Absolutely not. Robert. No. His voice was firm. You've been paying rent to people who should have been taking care of you. I'm not doing that to you. But he held up a hand before she could protest. If you want to contribute, you can help with groceries sometimes, or cook dinner if you feel like it, or help Abigail with her homework. Not because you have to, because you want to. Natalie's eyes burned. Why are you doing this? Robert was quiet for a long moment. When Patricia got sick, people disappeared. Our friends, our neighbors, people we'd known for years. They couldn't handle it. Too uncomfortable. Too hard. We were drowning, and everyone just watched. He met her eyes. But there were a few people who stayed, who showed up with meals and helped with Abigail and sat with us in the hospital. They didn't fix anything. They couldn't. But they stayed. And that made all the difference. I'm not dying, Natalie said quietly. No, but you were drowning, and I couldn't just watch. Upstairs, Abigail started singing again. Robert smiled. That's her getting dressed song. She has a song for everything. Fair warning, if you stay, you're going to hear a lot of singing. I can handle singing, so that's a yes. You'll stay. Natalie took a breath. Let it out. Yes, but just for a little while, until I figure things out. Deal. Robert stood and held out his hand. They shook on it, formal and serious, and then Robert grinned. Welcome home. The word home hit Natalie like a physical thing. She'd lived in the Whitfield mansion for 10 years and never once called it home. Now here she was in a stranger's house for less than 12 hours, and the word felt right. The next few days passed in a blur. Agnes made good on her promise. A moving truck appeared at the Whitfield mansion at 7 a.m. and collected Natalie's belongings before Margaret could throw them away. Everything arrived at Robert's house by noon. 6 boxes of clothes, books, photos, random things accumulated over 10 years. Natalie unpacked slowly, arranging her few possessions in the guest room. Her books on the windowsill, her mother's jewelry box on the dresser, the stuffed rabbit from childhood on the bed. Abigail helped narrating the entire process. Oh, you have the same book as me. Can I borrow it? What's this? Is that your mom? She's pretty. Do you miss her? Dad says it's okay to miss people, even if they've been gone a long time. He still misses Mom, and she's been gone 2 years, and he said, Abigail. Robert called from downstairs. Let Natalie breathe. I'm just helping. You're just talking. But Natalie didn't mind. Abigail's chatter filled the silence, made the house feel alive. And when the little girl asked about Natalie's mom, there was no pity in her voice, just genuine curiosity. I do miss her, Natalie said, looking at the photo. Every day. Yeah, Abigail said softly. Me too. With my mom, I mean. They sat together on the window seat, 2 people who'd lost too much, finding comfort in shared grief. That night, Robert made spaghetti. They ate at the kitchen table, Abigail talking about school, Robert asking Natalie about her job at the grocery store. Normal conversation. Easy conversation. No landmines. After dinner, Abigail insisted on teaching Natalie her favorite card game, some complicated thing involving dragons and knights that Natalie couldn't quite follow, but played anyway. Robert watched from the couch, reading a book, occasionally looking up to smile at them. Later, after Abigail went to bed, Natalie helped Robert clean up the kitchen. They worked in comfortable silence, Natalie washing dishes, Robert drying. You don't have to do this, Robert said. The dishes. You're a guest. I want to help. Okay, but Natalie... She looked up. You're not a guest. You're family now. Understand? Natalie nodded, not trusting her voice. That night she lay in bed and thought about the word family. For 10 years it had meant obligation, burden, performance. Now it meant something else, something that felt like safety. The next morning, Natalie's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Natalie Whitfield. A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. Yes. This is Jennifer Martinez from the Department of Social Services. I received a call from Agnes Thorne yesterday. She mentioned you might be interested in pursuing social work. Natalie sat up straight. What? Agnes is on our board. She spoke very highly of you. We have a program for aspiring social workers training mentorship scholarship opportunities. Would you be interested in learning more? Natalie's heart hammered. Yes, I would. Excellent. Can you come in for an interview next Tuesday? I'll be there. She hung up and stared at the phone. Social work. She'd thought about it before, thought about helping kids who'd been through what she'd been through, but it had seemed impossible. Too expensive. Too far out of reach. Now it was real. She ran downstairs. Robert was making coffee. Agnes called social services for me. They want to interview me for a training program. Robert grinned. That's amazing. When? Tuesday. We'll get you there. And Natalie. He handed her a cup of coffee. You're going to be incredible at this. You don't know that. Yes, I do. You've lived through hell and came out kind. That's exactly what those kids need. Tuesday came. Natalie wore the nicest outfit. She owned a simple black dress, the one she'd worn to job interviews before. Robert drove her to the Department of Social Services, waited in the car while she went inside. Jennifer Martinez was a small woman with kind eyes and a firm handshake. She led Natalie to an office filled with files and asked questions about Natalie's background, her experience, why she wanted to do this work. Natalie told the truth. All of it. The accident, the adoption, the isolation, the wedding. Jennifer listened without interrupting. Then she said, "You've been through trauma. That's an asset in this field, but it can also be dangerous. How do you plan to manage that?" "Therapy," Natalie said. "I need to go back to therapy, and I'll be honest about my limits. I'll ask for help when I need it." Good answer. Jennifer made a note. The program is intensive, 2 years of training while working part-time in the field. It's hard? Most people quit. I won't quit. How do you know? Because I've been surviving my whole life, Natalie said. This is the first time I get to choose what I'm surviving for. Jennifer smiled. You start Monday. Natalie walked out of that building feeling 10 feet tall. Robert saw her face and laughed. You got it. I got it. They went out for lunch to celebrate a diner with cracked vinyl booths and the best French fries Natalie had ever tasted. Robert ordered pie. They talked about the program, about Natalie's plans, about the future that suddenly seemed possible. Thank you, Natalie said, for all of this, for believing in me. You did this, Robert said. I just gave you a safe place to land. That night, Natalie started her first therapy session phone appointment with a counselor who specialized in trauma. It was hard, harder than she expected. Talking about the accident, the Whitfields, all the years of feeling worthless. But she did it. And when she hung up, Robert knocked on her door with hot chocolate. You okay? Yeah, and she meant it. The weeks passed. Natalie started her training, long days of classes and fieldwork, coming home exhausted but fulfilled. She helped kids who'd been through foster care, through abuse, through systems that failed them. Every day was hard. Every day mattered. At home, things settled into a rhythm. Natalie cooked dinner on Tuesdays and Thursdays, simple things, pasta and stir-fry, nothing fancy. Abigail did homework at the kitchen table while Natalie studied. Robert worked from home most days, his office door always open. They became a unit, a family. One night, 6 weeks after the wedding, Natalie came home to find Abigail crying at the kitchen table. Robert was at work, caught in a late meeting. "Hey," Natalie said, sitting down beside her. "What's wrong?" "I had to write about my family for school." Abigail pushed her paper across the table. "And I wrote about Mom and Dad, and then I didn't know if I should write about you, and I did. But then I got scared you might leave like Mom left, and—" "Abigail." Natalie pulled the little girl into a hug. "I'm not leaving, I promise." "But Mom didn't mean to leave either. She got sick. What if you get sick? What if—" "Then I'll fight to stay, as hard as I can." Natalie held her tight. "Your dad saved me, Abby. You both did. I'm not going anywhere." Abigail cried into Natalie's shoulder. Natalie held her and realized something: she wasn't just being saved. She was doing the saving too. When Robert came home an hour later, he found them asleep on the couch, Abigail curled against Natalie, both of them peaceful. He covered them with a blanket and didn't wake them. 3 months and Natalie's phone rang. Margaret. She almost didn't answer. But something made her pick up. "Natalie." Margaret's voice was tight, controlled. "We need to talk." "I don't think we do." The wedding video went viral. Did you know that someone posted it online? It's been viewed 2 million times. 2 million people watching our family's private moment. "Your family," Natalie corrected. "You made that clear. We're being destroyed on social media. Caroline's husband's family is furious. We've lost friends, business connections. All because you couldn't just sit quietly. Goodbye, Margaret." "Wait." Natalie hung up. Her hands were shaking, but her heart was steady. Robert appeared in the doorway. "You okay?" "Yeah." Natalie looked at him. "I really am." That night over dinner, Abigail announced she was doing a family tree project for school. "Can I include you?" she asked Natalie. "Include me where?" "In my family. You live here. You help with homework. You make Tuesday spaghetti. That's family." Natalie's throat closed. She looked at Robert, who was smiling softly. "Yeah," Natalie whispered. "You can include me." Abigail drew the tree that night, Robert at the top, a branch for Patricia marked, "In Heaven," and then Abigail. And beside Abigail's name, in careful letters, Aunt Natalie. Natalie stared at it for a long time. Then she taped it to the refrigerator, right next to Abigail's spelling tests and Robert's grocery lists. 4 months in, something shifted. Natalie noticed at first the way Robert's eyes lingered on her when she laughed at Abigail's jokes. The way his hand brushed hers when they cooked dinner together. The way the house felt different when he was in it. She noticed because she felt it too. One Saturday night after Abigail had gone to her grandmother's for the weekend, Robert and Natalie sat on the porch swing. The air was warm, stars bright overhead. "I've been thinking," Robert said quietly. About how Patricia would feel, about you being here, about—" He stopped, started again. "She made me promise something before she died, made me promise I wouldn't shut down, wouldn't stop living." He looked at Natalie. "I think she'd be happy you're here." "Yeah. Yeah." His voice was soft. "I think she'd like you." They sat in silence, the swing creaking gently. Natalie's heart was pounding, but she didn't move. Didn't want to break whatever this moment was. "I'm glad I came to that wedding," Robert said finally. "Me too." His hand found hers in the darkness. Their fingers intertwined, and for the first time in her entire life, Natalie felt like she was exactly where she belonged. They didn't talk about the hand-holding. Not that night, not the next morning when Abigail came home chattering about her grandmother's cat. They just went back to their routine like nothing had changed, except everything had changed, and they both knew it. Natalie threw herself into her work. The training program was brutal, 12-hour days of classes and field work, coming home with her brain fried and her heart heavy from the stories she heard. Kids who'd been abandoned, abused, shuffled through systems that were supposed to protect them, but mostly just processed them. She met a girl named Sophia, 8 years old, who'd been in 7 foster homes in 3 years. Sophia didn't talk, just sat in the corner during group sessions, drawing pictures of houses with all the windows colored black. "She needs stability," Jennifer said during supervision. "Consistency. Someone who won't leave." Natalie thought about that all week. Thought about how she'd felt at 13, lost and scared, taken in by people who treated kindness like a performance. Thought about how different her life might have been if someone like Robert had found her back then. On Friday, she stayed late at the office writing notes on Sophia's case. When she finally left, it was dark outside, streetlights flickering on. She walked to her car and found Robert leaning against it, 2 coffee cups in his hands. "You didn't have to wait," she said. "I know." He handed her a cup. "But Abigail's at a sleepover, and the house felt too quiet, so I thought I'd come make sure you didn't work yourself to death." "I'm fine." "You're exhausted." He said it gently. "Come on, let's go home." They drove in comfortable silence, sipping coffee. When they pulled into the driveway, neither of them moved to get out. They just sat there, engine ticking, as it cooled the porch light, casting long shadows. "There's this girl," Natalie said finally. "Sophia, 8 years old, 7 foster homes. She doesn't talk, just draws these pictures of dark houses." Her voice cracked. "I keep thinking that could have been me. If the Whitfields hadn't taken me in, I would have gone into the system, and it would have destroyed me." "But it didn't," Robert said. "You survived." "Barely." "Still counts." He turned to face her. "Natalie, you're doing for these kids what no one did for you. That matters, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard." She wanted to tell him that some days she felt like a fraud, like she was too broken to help anyone else. Wanted to tell him that she lay awake at night, thinking about all the kids she couldn't save, all the cases that went wrong, all the ways the system failed over and over again. Instead, she said, "Thank you for waiting." Always. The word hung between them, heavy with meaning. Inside the house was quiet. They moved through it like a choreographed dance, Robert locking doors, Natalie turning off lights. In the kitchen, they stood on opposite sides of the island, not quite looking at each other. "I should go to bed," Natalie said. "Yeah, me too." Neither of them moved. Robert, Natalie. They both stopped, laughed awkwardly. "You first," Robert said. "I was just going to say—" She stopped, started over. "Living here, being part of this. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me." Robert's expression softened. "For me too. For us. Abigail talks about you constantly. Natalie said this, Natalie did that. You're her favorite person." "What about you?" The words were out before Natalie could stop them. "Am I—" She couldn't finish. Robert crossed the kitchen slowly, stopped in front of her close enough that she could smell his cologne, could see the flecks of gray in his eyes. "You're my favorite person too." Her heart stuttered. "Robert, I'm not asking for anything." He said quickly, "I just needed you to know that you matter, that you're not just someone we're helping. You're—" He struggled for words. "You're part of us now, part of me." Natalie's eyes burned. "I feel the same way. About you. About all of this." They stood there inches apart, the air between them crackling with everything unsaid. Robert lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he touched her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. "Is this okay?" he whispered. "Yes." He leaned in, stopped. "Tell me if—" "Robert." She smiled through tears. "Just kiss me." So he did. Soft and careful and sweet, his hand cupping her face like she was something precious. Natalie's hand found his shirt, gripping it, anchoring herself to this moment that felt too good to be real. When they pulled apart, both of them were breathing hard. "Wow," Abigail said from the doorway. They jumped apart like teenagers caught by parents. Abigail stood there in her pajamas. She was supposed to be at a sleepover, grinning like the Cheshire Cat. "Abby," Robert said weakly, "what are you doing home?" "Megan's mom called. She said Megan threw up, so everyone had to go home." Abigail walked into the kitchen, still grinning. "Were you guys kissing?" "No," Robert said. "Yes," Natalie said at the same time. Abigail's grin got bigger. "Are you dating now? Are you going to get married? Can I be in the wedding? Can I wear a sparkly dress?" "Abby, slow down. Because if you're getting married, I want to throw flowers. Real ones, not fake ones. And I want a sparkly dress. A really sparkly one, like with sequins." Robert looked at Natalie helplessly. She bit back a laugh. "We're not getting married," Natalie said gently. We like each other, that's all." "That's how it starts," Abigail said wisely. "Dad liked Mom, and then they got married, and then they had me. So if you like each other, you're probably going to get married." "Abigail Rose Sinclair," Robert said. "Bed. Now." "But now." Abigail sighed dramatically. "Fine, but I'm telling Grandma Agnes tomorrow." She paused at the doorway. "I think it's good. You guys kissing. You both smile more now." Then she was gone, thundering up the stairs. Robert and Natalie looked at each other. Then they both started laughing, the tension breaking like a dam. "I'm sorry," Robert said, still laughing. "She has no filter." "It's okay." Natalie's cheeks hurt from smiling. "She's right, though. I do smile more." "Me too." They stood there smiling at each other like idiots until Abigail yelled from upstairs. "I can hear you guys not talking. Just kiss again and come to bed." Robert groaned. "I'm going to have a talk with that child about boundaries." "Good luck with that." That night, Natalie lay in bed replaying the kiss over and over. Her first real kiss in years. Her first kiss that felt like coming home. Her phone buzzed. A text from Robert. "Sorry about Abigail. She's excited." Natalie typed back, "Don't be sorry. I'm excited too." 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Breakfast tomorrow?" "Just the two of us. Abigail has soccer at 9. "It's a date." She fell asleep smiling. But morning brought complications. Natalie woke to 17 missed calls from an unknown number and a voicemail from someone named Richard Chen, attorney at law. Her stomach dropped. She listened to the message. "Ms. Whitfield, this is Richard Chen representing Margaret and Richard Whitfield. They're filing a lawsuit claiming you slandered them at the wedding. They're demanding a public apology and $50,000 in damages. Please contact my office immediately to discuss settlement." Natalie sat on her bed phone, shaking in her hand. A lawsuit. They were suing her. She stumbled downstairs. Robert was making coffee, already dressed for Abigail's soccer game. He took one look at her face and set down the pot. "What happened?" She handed him the phone. He listened to the voicemail, his expression darkening with each word. "They can't be serious," he said. "They're suing me for $50,000. Robert, I don't have that kind of money. I don't have any money. If they win, they won't win. This is harassment, pure and simple." He pulled out his own phone. "I'm calling Agnes. Her son's a lawyer. A good one. I can't afford. Agnes will handle it. Trust me." Within an hour, Agnes had called back. Her son Michael would take the case pro bono. He'd contact Richard Chen's office directly. Don't respond. Don't engage. Don't let them scare you. But Natalie was scared, terrified. She'd barely started rebuilding her life, and now the Whitfields were trying to destroy her again. She went to Abigail's soccer game because she'd promised, but she couldn't focus. Every time her phone buzzed, her heart raced. Was it the lawyer, Margaret? Another threat, "Hey!" Robert sat down beside her on the bleachers. "Talk to me." "What if they win?" Natalie whispered. "What if I lose everything?" "You won't." Michael's already reviewed the case. He says it's frivolous. They have no grounds. The wedding was public. Multiple people recorded it. You told the truth. Robert took her hand. They're trying to intimidate you. Don't let them. I'm trying. I know. He squeezed her hand. And you're not alone. Whatever happens, we're in this together. Abigail scored a goal and they both cheered, but Natalie's heart wasn't in it. She kept seeing Margaret's face, hearing her voice. You'll regret this. That night, after Abigail went to bed, Natalie and Robert sat on the porch swing. The air was cool autumn creeping in. I'm sorry, Natalie said. This is a mess. I've brought all this drama into your life. Stop. Robert turned to face her. You didn't bring drama. They did, and I don't care. I'd rather have you and complications than not have you at all. But, no buts, we're in this, okay? Natalie nodded, not trusting her voice. They sat in silence, the swing creaking until Natalie's phone rang. Michael Chen, Agnes's son. Ms. Whitfield. Good news, I contacted their attorney. Turns out Margaret and Richard didn't realize the wedding was recorded by multiple guests. I sent them 3 different videos showing exactly what happened: Margaret's cruelty, Caroline's outburst, everything. Their attorney advised them to drop the suit. They're withdrawing it tomorrow. Natalie sagged with relief. Thank you. Thank you so much. My pleasure. And Ms. Whitfield, you might want to consider a restraining order. This is harassment. We can file if you want. I'll think about it. She hung up and told Robert. He pulled her into a hug, and she let herself cry, relief and exhaustion and gratitude all mixed together. It's over, she whispered against his chest. It's over, he agreed. But it wasn't. Not quite. 2 days later, Caroline showed up at the house. Natalie was home alone studying for her certification exam when the doorbell rang. She opened it and froze. Caroline stood on the porch, no makeup, hair in a messy ponytail, eyes red from crying. She looked nothing like the perfect bride from months ago. She looked human. What do you want? Natalie asked. To talk. Please. Caroline's voice cracked. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Every instinct told Natalie to slam the door, but something in Caroline's face made her hesitate. She stepped aside. 5 minutes. They sat in the living room, an ocean of space between them. Caroline twisted her hands in her lap, not meeting Natalie's eyes. Matthew left me, she said finally. 3 days ago. Said he couldn't be married to someone who could treat family that way. His grandmother, Agnes, she told him everything. About how you grew up, how we treated you. Caroline's voice broke. He called me cruel. Called Mom and Dad monsters. Said he couldn't have children with someone like me. Natalie said nothing. What could she say? I've been thinking, Caroline continued. About that night. About everything. And I realized... She looked up, tears streaming down her face. You were 13 when you came to us. 13. You'd just lost everything. And we made it worse. I made it worse. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. Caroline sobbed. I'm so sorry. I was jealous. You were the girl everyone felt sorry for, the brave survivor, and I was just Caroline. Nobody special. And I hated you for it. Hated that you got attention. Hated that I had to share my parents, so I made your life hell. You succeeded. I know. Carolyn wiped her eyes. Mom wanted me to come here and convince you to drop the videos, to stop the story from spreading, but I don't want to do that. You deserve to tell your story, the truth, even if it destroys us. Natalie stared at her. This wasn't what she'd expected. I can't fix what I did, Caroline said. I can't give you back those years, but I can tell the truth now. I can admit we were wrong, that I was wrong. She stood up. I'm leaving them. Mom and Dad, moving out. I can't be part of that anymore. Where will you go? I don't know. Anywhere that's not there. Caroline moved toward the door, then turned back. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know you were right. About everything. And I'm sorry I was too selfish to see it before." Then she was gone, leaving Natalie alone with a tangle of emotions she couldn't name. When Robert came home, she told him everything. He listened without interrupting, then said, "How do you feel?" "I don't know, angry still. But also..." She struggled for words. "She's lost everything too. Her marriage, her family. Maybe we're both victims of Margaret's cruelty. Maybe. But that doesn't erase what she did to you." "I know." Natalie leaned against him. "I'm not ready to forgive her. Maybe I never will be." But at least she finally told the truth. That night, Caroline posted on social media a long, raw confession about how they'd treated Natalie, about the adoption being for publicity, about years of cruelty disguised as tough love, about the wedding and the table behind the palm tree. The post went viral. News outlets picked it up. The Whitfields' reputation crumbled overnight. Margaret and Richard resigned from their charity boards. Friends abandoned them. The beautiful facade they'd built for decades came crashing down. Natalie didn't feel triumph. Just a deep, bone-tired sadness for everyone involved. But life went on. She passed her certification exam, started taking on her own cases, helping kids navigate systems that had failed them. She worked with Sophia, who slowly started talking, started drawing houses with open windows and bright colors. At home, things deepened with Robert. They went on actual dates, dinner movies, walks in the park. Abigail came with them sometimes, the three of them becoming something that felt like a real family. One night, 6 months after the wedding, Robert cooked dinner. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti and salad. Abigail chattered about school. Natalie helped clean up. Normal, easy, right. After Abigail went to bed, Natalie and Robert sat on the couch, her head on his shoulder, his arm around her. "I love you," Robert said quietly. Natalie's breath caught. She lifted her head, met his eyes. "What?" "I love you. I've been trying not to say it because I didn't want to pressure you or make things complicated, but I can't keep it in anymore. I love you, Natalie. I love your strength and your kindness and the way you make Abigail laugh. I love how you've turned our house into a home. I love..." His voice caught. "I love everything about you." Tears streamed down Natalie's face. "I love you too. I have for months. I was just scared to say it." "Scared of what?" "That I'd lose this. That I'd wake up and it would all be a dream. That I'd mess it up somehow." Robert cupped her face. "You're not going to lose this. You're not going to mess it up. We're real. This is real." He kissed her deeper than before, and Natalie felt something inside her finally settle. This was home. This was family. This was love. Real love, the kind that showed up and stayed. Upstairs, Abigail called out, "Are you guys kissing again?" They broke apart laughing. "Go to sleep, Abby," Robert called. "I will if you guys get married." Robert looked at Natalie, eyebrows raised. "She has a point." "Robert Sinclair, are you proposing?" "Not yet, but someday." He smiled. "If you'll have me." "I'll have you," Natalie whispered. "Someday." They fell asleep on the couch that night, wrapped around each other, and for the first time in her life, Natalie wasn't afraid of tomorrow. Someday came sooner than either of them expected. 3 weeks later, Natalie was working late at the office when Jennifer called her into a meeting. An emergency placement, a 10-year-old girl named Maya who'd been removed from her home that afternoon. Drug-addicted parents. No relatives willing to take her. She needed a foster home tonight. "I know you're not certified for fostering yet," Jennifer said, "but I thought you might know someone. A safe place. Just for tonight until we find something permanent." Natalie thought of Robert's house, the empty 4th bedroom they used for storage. She pulled out her phone. "Let me make a call." Robert answered on the second ring. Hey, everything okay? I need to ask you something. It's big. Natalie explained about Maya, about the emergency placement, about how the girl had nowhere to go. I know it's a lot to ask. I know you didn't sign up for this, but bring her home, Robert said without hesitation. Robert, you haven't even met her. You don't know. I know she's a kid who needs help. I know you wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. Bring her home, Natalie. We'll figure it out. 2 hours later, Natalie pulled into the driveway with Maya in the passenger seat. The girl hadn't spoken during the entire drive, just stared out the window with hollow eyes that had seen too much. She clutched a garbage bag containing everything she owned. Robert met them at the door with Abigail hovering behind him. Hi Maya, I'm Robert. This is Abigail. You're safe here, okay? Whatever you need, we'll make it work. Maya looked at him with suspicion. How long am I staying? Tonight for sure. After that we'll see. But you're not going anywhere until we find you somewhere good, somewhere safe. There's no such thing, Maya said flatly. Abigail stepped forward. Yes, there is. This is safe. Natalie lives here and she's the best. And Dad makes pancakes on Saturday. They're lumpy but good. Maya's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. Hope, maybe. Or the memory of hope. They showed her the spare room. Robert and Abigail had cleaned it out in record time, put fresh sheets on the bed, added a lamp from Abigail's room. It wasn't much, but it was clean and warm and safe. Bathrooms across the hall, Natalie said. There are towels and shampoo. If you need anything, just ask. My room's at the end of the hall. Maya nodded, but didn't speak. She set her garbage bag on the bed and sat down beside it, hands in her lap, waiting for something bad to happen. Are you hungry? Robert asked from the doorway. No. Okay. But if you change your mind, kitchen's downstairs. Help yourself to anything. He paused. Maya. You're not in trouble here. You're not a burden. You're a kid who needs help, and we're glad to help. Okay. Maya's jaw tightened. She nodded once. They left her alone. Downstairs, Abigail whispered urgently. Is she going to stay? Can she stay? I can share my toys, and my books, and... Abby, slow down, Robert said gently. She's been through something scary today. She needs space. Let her come to us when she's ready. But Abigail was already making plans. Tomorrow, I'll show her my rock collection. And we can play games. And... Abigail rose. Natalie said softly. Remember when you first met me, how I needed time to feel safe? Abigail nodded. Maya needs that too. So we're going to be patient and kind, and let her decide when she's ready. Okay. Okay. Abigail's face was serious. I can be patient. That night, Natalie lay in bed listening to the house. She heard Maya get up twice, once to use the bathroom, once to stand in the hallway, like she was checking that the doors were still unlocked, that she wasn't trapped. Each time Natalie held her breath, waiting to see if the girl would knock, would ask for something. She never did. In the morning, Natalie found Maya sitting at the kitchen table, still wearing yesterday's clothes, eyes red from crying. Robert was already up making coffee, pretending not to notice the girl's tears. Morning, he said casually. Coffee's too strong for kids, but I've got orange juice, and I'm making pancakes because it's Saturday and that's the rule in this house. Maya wiped her eyes quickly. I should leave. You've done enough. Leave. Robert turned around. You just got here. I heard you and Natalie talking last night about how this is temporary, about finding me somewhere permanent. Maya's voice was hard defensive. I know how this works. Nobody keeps kids like me. Natalie sat down across from her. Kids like you. Broken. Messed up. From bad families. Maya's hands clenched. My mom's in rehab again. Probably won't finish. My dad's in jail. I don't have grandparents. Nobody wants a kid with my history. That's not true, Natalie said softly. Yeah, it is. I've been in 3 foster homes already. They all said the same thing. It's not working out. You're too difficult. We're not equipped. Maya stood up. So I should just go now, before you figure out I'm not worth the trouble. Sit down, Robert said. Not harsh, but firm. Maya froze. Please, he added. Sit down. Eat breakfast. Then we'll talk. Maya sat slowly, like she was waiting for the trap to spring. Robert put pancakes in front of her, lumpy, like always, but smelling like butter and vanilla. Abigail appeared in her pajamas, saw Maya, and immediately started chattering about her plans for the day. We can go to the park, or play board games, or I can show you my room. I have a telescope. Well, it's Dad's telescope, but he lets me use it. And we can look at stars tonight if it's not cloudy. Do you like stars? Maya stared at her pancakes. I guess. Great. Because there's this one star that's actually a planet. Dad, which one is the planet that looks like a star? Venus, Robert said, sitting down with his own plate. Right, Venus. We can look at Venus, and maybe the moon. The moon's boring, but still cool. Despite herself, Maya's lips twitched, almost a smile. They ate breakfast together, Abigail filling every silence with stories and questions, Robert and Natalie exchanging looks over their coffee cups. After Abigail dragged Maya upstairs to show her the rock collection, leaving Robert and Natalie alone in the kitchen. What are we doing? Natalie asked quietly. I mean, really, are we fostering her? Are we? I don't know, Robert admitted. But I know we can't send her back into the system. Not yet. Not until we're sure she has somewhere good to go. That could take months. Then it takes months. Robert took her hand. Patricia and I always talked about fostering. After Abigail got older, we wanted to help kids who needed it. Then she got sick and... His voice caught. This feels right. Like maybe this is what she would have wanted. Natalie squeezed his hand. You're a good man, Robert Sinclair. No. I'm just a man who can't look away. That afternoon, Jennifer called. They'd found a potential placement for Maya, a couple in the suburbs who were experienced foster parents. They could take her Monday. What are they like? Natalie asked. Good people. Background checks clean. They've fostered 12 kids over the years. They have space resources patience. Do they have love? Jennifer was quiet. I don't know, but they're qualified. And Maya needs a placement. Natalie hung up and told Robert. He nodded slowly. Monday. Okay, we'll make this weekend count. They did. On Saturday, they went to the park. Abigail pushed Maya on the swings, both girls laughing when they went too high. Robert bought ice cream from a truck. They walked around the lake, Abigail pointing out ducks, Maya slowly loosening up, asking questions, making jokes. That night, they looked at stars through the telescope. Abigail showed Maya Venus, the moon, a constellation she'd learned in school. Maya was quiet, but engaged, asking Robert about planets and space, and whether aliens were real. Maybe, Robert said. Universe is big. Seems lonely if we're the only ones here. I think aliens would be cool, Maya said. Better than people sometimes. Some people? Natalie corrected gently. Not all people. Maya looked at her. You were in foster care. Adopted. But yeah, kind of. The family that took me in, they weren't good to me. For a long time I thought all families were like that I didn't deserve better. What changed? Natalie glanced at Robert, who was helping Abigail adjust the telescope. I met people who proved me wrong. People who showed me what family should actually look like. Like them. Maya nodded toward Robert and Abigail. Yeah, like them. Sunday morning, Maya came downstairs crying. Not loud, just quiet tears streaming down her face. Natalie found her in the kitchen, standing by the window. Hey, what's wrong? I don't want to go tomorrow, Maya whispered. I like it here. I like Abigail and Robert and you. I like how nobody yells. I like how the house smells like coffee in the morning. I like... She sobbed. I like feeling safe. Natalie pulled her into a hug. Maya resisted for a second, then collapsed into it, crying harder. I know, Natalie said. I know it's scary. Why can't I stay here? Because... Natalie stopped. Why couldn't she? They had the space, they had the resources, they had love. Let me talk to Robert. She found him in his office working on his laptop. We need to talk about Maya. I know. Robert closed the laptop. She doesn't want to go tomorrow. How did you... I heard her crying, and honestly I don't want her to go either. He ran a hand through his hair. I called Jennifer yesterday, asked what it would take for us to become licensed foster parents. She said we'd need training, home study, background checks. It takes time. How much time? 3 months minimum, maybe 6. Robert met her eyes. I want to do it. Not just for Maya, for other kids like her. Like you were. But I need to know, are you in? Because this is huge. This changes everything. Natalie thought about Sophia, about the dozens of other kids she'd met through her work. Thought about her 13-year-old self, lost and scared, praying for someone to see her. Thought about the family she'd found with Robert and Abigail, the safety and love that had saved her. I'm in, she said. Completely in. Robert's face broke into a smile. Okay then, let's do this. They called Jennifer together, explained their situation, asked if there was any way Maya could stay temporarily while they completed the licensing process. It's unusual, Jennifer said. But given your relationship with her, your work history, Natalie, and the fact that you're already in the system, I can probably make it work. Temporary emergency placement while you get licensed. But Robert, you need to start the training immediately. And Natalie, you'll need to be the primary placement supervisor until his credentials come through. Done, they said simultaneously. Jennifer laughed. All right, I'll do the paperwork. Maya stays. But you two better be serious about this. We are, Robert said. I promise. That afternoon, they sat Maya down in the living room. Abigail insisted on being there too, climbing onto the couch beside Maya. So, Robert said, we talked to Jennifer about you staying here, with us. Maya's face went carefully blank. Temporary, right? Until the other family. No, Natalie interrupted. Not temporary. We're going to become licensed foster parents. It'll take a few months, but we're doing it. And if you want to stay, if you feel safe here, you can stay as long as you need. Maya stared at them. Are you serious? Completely serious, Robert said. This is your home now, for real, not just for the weekend. But why? You don't even know me. I could be a nightmare. I could steal stuff or break rules or... Then we'll deal with it, Natalie said. Because that's what families do. They work through the hard stuff together. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Nobody's ever wanted me before. Not for real. Abigail grabbed her hand. We want you. You're my sister now. Well, foster sister. But that counts. It definitely counts, Robert agreed. Maya looked at each of them like she was searching for the lie, the catch, the moment when they'd change their minds. When she didn't find it, she started crying big gulping sobs that shook her whole body. Natalie held her while she cried. Robert's hand rested on her shoulder. Abigail tucked herself against Maya's other side. They sat like that for a long time, a tangle of arms and tears, and the beginning of something that felt like healing. Later that night, after both girls were asleep, Natalie and Robert sat on the porch swing. The air was cool, stars bright overhead. We're really doing this, Natalie said. We're really doing this. Are you scared? Terrified, Robert admitted. But also excited. This feels right, like we're supposed to do this. Natalie leaned her head on his shoulder. Patricia would be proud of you. I hope so. Robert's voice was soft. I think about her sometimes, about how she always wanted to help people, how she saw the best in everyone. He paused. I think she'd love you. I think she'd love what we're building here. I wish I could have met her. Me too. Robert kissed the top of her head. But I think she'd be happy. That I found you. That Abigail has you. That we're doing this together." They sat in comfortable silence, the swing creaking gently. Inside their house held two little girls who'd both lost too much and were learning to trust again. Outside, the world spun on full of broken things and beautiful possibilities. "Robert," Natalie said quietly. "Yeah. I love you. And I love this life we're building. All of it. Even the chaos. Especially the chaos." He pulled her closer. "Good. Because I have a feeling things are going to get a lot more chaotic before they get easier." "Bring it on," Natalie said. And she meant it. Over the next 3 months, chaos became their new normal. Robert started foster parent training classes 2 nights a week, online modules, home study visits. Natalie juggled her social work cases and supervising Maya's placement. Abigail adjusted to having a sister, which meant fights over the bathroom and arguments about whose turn it was to pick the movie, but also late-night giggles and shared secrets. Maya slowly came out of her shell. She started talking more, smiling, more letting her guard down piece by piece. She still had nightmares, sometimes woke up crying, convinced she was back in her old house. But now she had people who came running when she called, who held her until the fear passed. One night, 2 months after she'd arrived, Maya came to Natalie's room at midnight. "I had the dream again. The one where Mom comes back and takes me away." Natalie sat up. "Come here." Maya climbed into bed beside her, curling up like a much younger child. "What if she gets out of rehab? What if she wants me back? What if I have to leave?" "Then we'll deal with it together," Natalie said. "But Maya, right now you're safe. Right now you're here. That's what matters. Do you think I'll ever stop being scared?" Natalie thought about her own years of fear, of waiting for the other shoe to drop, of never quite believing good things could last. "I think the fear gets smaller. It doesn't go away completely, but it gets quieter. And eventually, you start believing that good things can be real." "Do you believe that now?" "Yeah," Natalie said, surprised to find it was true. "Yeah, I do." Maya snuggled closer. "Can I sleep here tonight?" "Of course." In the morning, Robert found them like that. Natalie and Maya curled together, both sleeping peacefully. He took a photo, not to post anywhere, just to remember this moment. This proof that broken things could heal. That lost people could find home. 3 months after Maya arrived, Robert got his foster parent license. They celebrated with cake and sparkling cider, Maya blowing out candles and making a wish she wouldn't tell anyone. "What did you wish for?" Abigail demanded. "Can't tell or it won't come true." "That's a dumb rule." "Abigail," Robert warned. But Maya was smiling. "I wished for this to last. For all of us to stay together." "That's not a wish," Abigail said seriously. "That's already real." And for once, Maya believed her. That reality lasted exactly 8 months before Maya's mother showed up. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Natalie was at work. Robert was picking up Abigail from soccer practice, and Maya was home alone doing homework. She'd just turned 11, old enough to be by herself for an hour, responsible enough that they trusted her. The doorbell rang. Maya looked through the peephole, and her world tilted. Her mother stood on the porch, thinner than Maya remembered, hair dyed blonde, wearing clean clothes that looked new. Sober. She looked sober. Maya's hands shook as she opened the door. "Mom?" "Baby." Her mother's voice cracked. "Look at you. You've grown so much. What are you doing here?" "I finished rehab. 90 days clean. Got a job, got an apartment. I came to—" Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "I came to get you back. To take you home." Maya's stomach dropped. "This is home." "No, baby. Home is with me, with your family." Her mother stepped forward. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I'm better now. I'm ready to be your mom again. You can't just show up and—" Maya's voice rose. "You left me. You chose drugs over me. I know." Her mother was crying now. "I know and I'm sorry, but I'm clean now. I'm fighting for you. My lawyer says I have rights, says they can't keep you from me." Maya backed away. "Get out. You need to leave." "Maya, please. Leave." Maya slammed the door and locked it, then stood there shaking, listening to her mother cry on the other side. After a few minutes, footsteps retreated. A car engine started. Silence. Maya slid down the door and called Natalie. "Hey, sweetie, what's up?" "My mom was here." Maya's voice shook. She said she's clean. She said she's taking me back." "Stay there. Lock the doors. I'm coming home right now." Natalie made it home in 15 minutes, breaking every speed limit. She found Maya sitting in the hallway, arms wrapped around her knees, face streaked with tears. "She looked different," Maya whispered. "Healthy. Like maybe she really is clean this time." "That's good," Natalie said carefully, sitting beside her. "That's really good, Maya. But I don't want to go back." Maya looked at her with desperate eyes. "I don't want to leave you and Robert and Abigail. This is my family now. She can't just take me away." Natalie pulled her close. "We're going to figure this out. I promise." But when Jennifer called an hour later, the news wasn't good. Maya's mother had completed rehab, passed drug tests, secured housing and employment. She was petitioning the court for custody. And because parental rights hadn't been terminated because she'd done everything the system asked, she had a strong case. "How long do we have?" Robert asked. He'd come home early, was sitting at the kitchen table with Natalie while both girls played upstairs. Though playing was generous. They were mostly just keeping each other company while Maya cried. "Hearings in 2 weeks, Jennifer said. "I'll be honest with you, unless something changes, the judge will likely rule in her favor. Blood family takes precedence, always." After she hung up, Robert and Natalie sat in silence. Then Robert said, "We fight. We get a lawyer. On what grounds?" Natalie's voice was hollow. "She's clean. She's employed. She's doing everything right. There's no legal reason to keep Maya from her." "The legal reason is that Maya doesn't want to go. That counts for something." "Not enough." Natalie knew the system too well. Knew how it prioritized biological parents, how it gave chance after chance, how it valued blood over bonds. "Robert, we might lose her." "No." Robert's voice was firm. "No, we're not giving up. We're going to fight for her, every way we can." They hired Agnes's son Michael again. He was honest with them. "The mother has rights. If she's clean and stable, the court will likely return custody. But we can argue for a gradual transition. Supervised visits first. Give Maya time to adjust." "She shouldn't have to adjust," Natalie said. "She's been through enough." "I know, but the law's the law." The next 2 weeks were hell. Maya withdrew, stopped eating, stopped sleeping. Abigail tried to cheer her up, but nothing worked. The house that had been full of laughter and life went quiet. Robert took time off work to be home. Natalie cut back her hours. They tried to make everything as normal as possible, but normal had disappeared the moment Maya's mother came back. 3 days before the hearing, Maya came to Natalie's room at 2 in the morning. "I want to run away." "Maya, I'm serious. We could go somewhere she can't find us. I'll change my name, dye my hair, whatever it takes." Natalie pulled her into bed. "That's not the answer." "Then what is?" "Because I can't go back. I can't." Maya was sobbing. "You don't know what it was like. The apartment smelling like smoke and chemicals. Men coming in and out at all hours. Never knowing if there'd be food. Never feeling safe." "I do know," Natalie said quietly. "Maybe not exactly, but I know what it's like to feel unsafe in your own home. to be with people who are supposed to love you but make you feel worthless instead. Then help me. Please, don't let her take me. I'm trying, baby. We all are. But trying wasn't enough. The hearing was on a Friday morning. They all went Robert, Natalie, Abigail, who insisted on coming even though Robert said she didn't have to. Maya wore the dress Natalie had bought her for her birthday, navy blue with flowers. She looked small and scared and far too young to be making statements to a judge. Maya's mother was there with her lawyer. She looked good, clean clothes, clear eyes, hope on her face. She looked like a mother who wanted her daughter back. And maybe she did. Maybe this time was different. The judge listened to both sides, heard about the mother's successful rehab, her stable housing, her job at a grocery store, heard about Maya's life with Robert and Natalie, about school and friends and stability. Then he asked Maya to speak. She stood up, hands shaking. Your Honor, I love my mom. I do. But I don't trust her. She's been clean before. She always goes back. Maya's voice broke. And every time she does, I'm the one who suffers. I'm the one who goes hungry. I'm the one who gets taken away. I understand, the judge said kindly. But your mother has completed treatment. She's done everything we've asked. She's done it before. Maya was crying now. She got clean when I was 8. Stayed sober for 3 months. Then she relapsed, and I found her unconscious on the bathroom floor. I had to call 911. I was 8 years old. The courtroom went silent. I can't do it again, Maya whispered. I can't watch her destroy herself and take me with her. Please don't make me go back. The judge looked at Maya's mother. Ms. Chen, do you have a response? Maya's mother stood, tears streaming. I'm not that person anymore. I'm clean. I'm fighting. I know I failed you, baby, but I'm different now. You said that last time, Maya said. And the time before. Why should I believe you now? Her mother had no answer. The judge took a recess. They waited for an hour in the hallway. Maya pressed between Robert and Natalie, Abigail holding her hand. When they were called back, the judge looked tired. This is a difficult case. Ms. Chen has done everything required by law. However, I'm concerned about the history of relapse and the child's emotional state. He paused. I'm ordering supervised visitation to begin immediately. 2 hours per week supervised by social services. We'll reconvene in 3 months to assess progress. If Ms. Chen remains stable and Maya shows improvement in her relationship with her mother, we'll discuss expanded custody. Maya sagged with relief. 3 months. She had 3 months. Her mother looked devastated, but nodded. Thank you, Your Honor. Outside the courthouse, Maya's mother approached them. Can I talk to her, just for a minute? Robert stepped forward protectively, but Natalie touched his arm. Maya, do you want to talk to her? Maya hesitated, then nodded. They stepped away from the group, mother and daughter facing each other like strangers. I'm going to prove it to you, her mother said. I'm going to stay clean. I'm going to show you I can be the mom you deserve. I hope so, Maya said quietly. I really do, but hoping and believing are different things. I know, but I'm going to earn your belief back, whatever it takes. They stood there awkwardly until Maya stepped back toward Robert and Natalie. I should go. Okay. Her mother's voice cracked. I love you, baby. I know, Maya said, and then softer. I love you too. They drove home in silence. Abigail fell asleep against Maya's shoulder. Robert's hand found Natalie's. When they got home, Maya went straight to her room. Natalie found her an hour later, lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. You okay? I don't know, maybe. Maya turned to look at her. What if she really is different this time? What if I'm being unfair? You're protecting yourself. That's not unfair. But what if I mess this up? What if she stays clean and I ruin it by not trusting her? Natalie sat on the edge of the bed. Maya, listen to me. You are not responsible for your mother's sobriety. You're not responsible for fixing her, or saving her, or making her better. Your only job is to take care of yourself. But she's my mom. I know. And you can love her and still protect yourself. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Maya was quiet for a long moment. I'm scared. Of what? That she'll stay clean. That she'll prove she's changed. And then I'll have to leave you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't want to leave. This is my home. You're my family. Natalie's heart broke. You're our family too. No matter what happens, even if you have to go back to your mom, you'll always be our family. Always. Promise. I promise. The visits started the following week. 2 hours every Saturday at the social services office, supervised by a caseworker. Maya came home from the first one quiet and drained. How was it? Robert asked carefully. Weird. She kept asking about school and friends and if I had enough to eat, like she was trying too hard. Maya picked at her dinner, but she looked good, healthy, and she's working at the grocery store on 5th. She showed me pictures of her apartment. It's small but clean. That's good, Natalie said. Yeah. Maya didn't sound convinced. The weeks passed, visit after visit. Maya's mother stayed clean, passed every drug test, showed up on time, engaged and present. She was doing everything right, and Maya was miserable. I feel guilty, she told Natalie one night. She's trying so hard, and I can't make myself trust her. I can't make myself want to go back. You don't have to force feelings, Natalie said. Trust is earned, not given. She knows that. But what if the judge decides I have to go back? What if he says she's done enough? Then we'll deal with it. Together. The 3-month hearing approached. Maya's mother had stayed clean, maintained employment, attended parenting classes. Her lawyer was pushing for overnight visits, gradually increasing custody. The night before the hearing, Robert proposed. They were sitting on the porch swing after the girls had gone to bed. Natalie was stressed about the hearing, about losing Maya, about everything falling apart. Robert had been quiet all evening. Marry me, he said suddenly. Natalie's head whipped around. What? Marry me? Robert pulled out a small velvet box. I bought this 3 months ago. I was waiting for the right moment, but I realized there's never going to be a perfect moment. Life's too messy, too uncertain. But I love you. Abigail loves you. Maya loves you. And I want to make this official. I want you to be my wife. I want us to be a real family on paper and in every way that matters. Natalie stared at the ring, simple, elegant, perfect. Robert, I know the timing's terrible. I know we're in the middle of this custody thing and everything's uncertain. But that's exactly why I want to do this now. Because life's uncertain. And the only thing I'm sure of is that I want to spend whatever time I have with you. Yes? Natalie whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. He slid the ring on her finger and kissed her deep and long and full of promise. When they pulled apart, they were both crying. Should we tell the girls tonight? Robert asked. Tomorrow, after the hearing. Regardless of what happens, we'll have something to celebrate. But the hearing brought a surprise no one expected. Maya's mother stood up before the judge could make his ruling. Your Honor, I'd like to say something. Go ahead, Ms. Chen. I've been clean for 6 months. I've done everything you asked, everything my daughter needed me to do. Her voice shook. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud I got sober. I'm proud I'm working. I'm proud I'm finally becoming the person I should have been all along. That's commendable. But I'm not ready. She looked at Maya, tears streaming. I want to be ready. God, I want it so badly. But I see my daughter every week, and I see how she pulls away from me. How she flinches when I reach for her. How she can't relax, can't trust, can't believe I won't fall apart again. Her voice broke. And she's right not to trust me. Because 6 months is nothing. 6 months is barely the beginning. The courtroom was silent. "I want my daughter back," Maya's mother continued. "But I want her back when I can actually take care of her, when I can give her stability and safety and everything she deserves. Right now," she looked at Robert and Natalie. "Right now she has that with them. She has a home, a family, people who've never let her down." "Ms. Chen, what are you saying?" the judge asked gently. "I'm saying I want to withdraw my petition for custody. Not forever, but for now. Until I can really prove that I'm stable. That I can stay clean not just for 6 months, but for a year, 2 years, however long it takes." She looked at Maya. "You deserve better than wondering if today's the day I relapse. You deserve to feel safe. And if that means staying with Robert and Natalie, then that's what should happen." Maya started crying. Robert put his arm around her. "I'll keep doing visits," her mother said. "If Maya wants, but supervised, at social services. And I'll keep working on myself, keep going to meetings, keep building a life that's actually worth coming back to." She wiped her eyes. "Maybe someday you'll trust me again. Maybe someday you'll want to come home. But until then, I want you to be happy. And you're happy there." The judge looked at Maya. "Is this what you want?" Maya nodded, unable to speak. "Very well. The petition is withdrawn. Maya will remain in the custody of her foster parents. Supervised visitation will continue at the current schedule. We'll review again in 1 year." He banged his gavel. Court dismissed. Outside, Maya's mother approached them one last time. "Take care of her, please." "We will," Robert promised. "I know." She looked at Maya. "I'm going to get better, baby. For real this time. Not for the courts. Not to get you back. For me. Because I want to be someone you can be proud of." "I'm already proud of you," Maya said quietly. "For letting me stay." They hugged, brief and awkward and full of complicated love. Then her mother walked away, climbing into a beat-up Honda, driving off toward whatever came next. On the drive home, Maya said, "She really loves me." "She does." Natalie agreed. "She loves you enough to let you go." "That's the hardest kind of love," Robert added. That night, they told the girls about the engagement. Abigail screamed and jumped up and down. Maya cried happy tears and asked if she could be in the wedding. "Of course," Natalie said. "Both of you, whatever you want." "Can I wear the sparkly dress?" Abigail asked. "The really sparkly one. As sparkly as you want." They planned the wedding for spring small ceremony, backyard closest friends. Agnes insisted on officiating, said she'd gotten ordained online just for this occasion. Both girls picked out matching dresses, lavender with actual sparkles. The morning of the wedding, Natalie woke up in her room, soon to be their room, and found a note under her door. From Maya. "Thank you for seeing me when I was invisible. Thank you for giving me a home. Thank you for proving that families aren't just about blood. I love you. Maya." Natalie cried while doing her makeup. Happy tears. Grateful tears. The kind of tears that meant everything had finally fallen into place. The ceremony was perfect. Simple. Real. Agnes gave a speech about how love wasn't always neat or easy, how the best families were chosen, not born, how these 4 people standing before her had found each other against all odds and built something beautiful. Robert and Natalie said their vows. Abigail and Maya threw rose petals. Everyone cried. After they ate cake in the backyard and danced to music from a speaker and watched the sunset over their small, perfect piece of the world. Late that night, after the girls had gone to bed and the guests had left, Robert and Natalie stood on the porch. Wedding clothes, wrinkled makeup, smudged, completely exhausted, and completely happy. "We did it," Natalie said. "We did." Robert pulled her close. "I love you, Mrs. Sinclair." "I love you too." They stood there holding each other, thinking about the journey that had brought them here. A wedding where Natalie sat alone behind a palm tree. 6 words that changed everything. Act like you're with me, please. The family they'd built from broken pieces. Inside, their daughters slept peacefully. Abigail dreaming of stars and rocks and her new life as a big sister. Maya dreaming of a mother who was learning to love herself, of a home where she felt safe, of a future that finally looked bright. And on the porch, 2 people who'd saved each other, held tight, and believed, truly believed, that love really could heal anything. 10 years later, Abigail stood at her high school graduation as valedictorian. She looked out at the crowd and found her family, Dad and Natalie in the front row, Maya beside them, with her husband and their baby daughter, Grandma Agnes, grinning proudly. "My dad went to a wedding 10 years ago," Abigail said into the microphone. "He went alone, expecting nothing special. He came home with the woman who became my mother." She looked at Natalie. "He taught me that love means standing beside someone when the world makes them stand alone. That families aren't about blood, they're about choice, about showing up, about seeing people when everyone else looks away." Natalie was crying. Robert held her hand tight. Maya wiped her own eyes. "My family's not traditional," Abigail continued. "My mom died when I was 6. My stepmom was adopted by people who treated her like a burden. My sister came from a broken home, fought to stay with us, and now helps other kids do the same. We're messy. We're complicated. But we're real. And we're proof that love, real love, can build families from nothing." The audience applauded. Abigail stepped down from the podium and walked straight to Natalie, pulling her into a fierce hug. "Thank you for choosing us." "Thank you for letting me," Natalie whispered back. That night they all went back to the house, the same yellow house with the crooked basketball hoop and the porch swing that still creaked. They ate cake and told stories and laughed until their sides hurt. And when everyone was asleep, Natalie went outside to the porch. She sat on the swing and thought about that wedding, about sitting alone behind that palm tree, about feeling invisible and worthless and completely alone. She thought about Robert crossing that ballroom, offering her a seat, changing her entire life with 6 simple words. She thought about Agnes and her fierce love about Abigail and her unconditional acceptance about Maya and all the other children they'd fostered over the years. About the family they'd built from kindness and courage, and the radical act of seeing people when everyone else looked away. The door opened. Robert stepped out, 2 cups of tea in his hands. He sat beside her, and they swung gently, watching stars appear in the darkening sky. "What are you thinking about?" he asked. "How 6 words changed my life." "Which 6? Act like you're with me, please." Natalie smiled. "Best thing you ever said to me." Robert leaned over and kissed her temple. "Best thing I ever did was look up and see you sitting there, alone, hurting, and decide I couldn't walk away. I'm glad you didn't." "Me too." They sat in comfortable silence, the swing creaking its familiar song. The house behind them full of love and laughter and proof that broken things could heal, that lost people could find home, that sometimes all it took was one person deciding to see you, really see you when everyone else looked away. And that was enough. That was everything.